This video contains the top 3 best Talent 13 attack strategies that don't require super troops to 3-star any base. Starting with the number 3 strategy, we have the DragBat. You want to start by funneling and also setting one side of the funnel already with your heroes. Typically, I'd recommend using a baby dragon or a yeti and 2 wizards in order to set a solid funnel in order to make sure that your heroes are going in the right direction. Typically, with your heroes being paired with the golem and ice golem and the apprentice warden to give them all a lot of HP, you want to go for splash buildings. So if the CC is lurable as well, you should go in for that. But splash buildings are a very important thing. So any wizard towers, infernos, or scatter shots that you can get rid of with your heroes can be massive value. If you have your royal champion, you can use her to go in for a multi-target inferno and other splash related defenses before you get to the dragons, as this is going to allow you to more easily and more comfortably get a large amount of value, especially splash defenses down, so your bat spells have a lot more of an easier time. So even if you don't get a majority of the splash with your heroes, you will still get a decent amount and being set up perfectly for your dragon portion. From here, you want to cut off the other side of the funnel, so using an electro dragon or a regular dragon can actually work. Of course, I would recommend sending in the dragons, the balloons, and the battle blimp as you enter in. Going in for any remaining splash buildings, such as the infernos, scattershots, eagle, and wizard towers are all really nice. An initial rage to help your dragons get in, and of course, using the Grand Warden ability to protect them, and the battle blimp. When the battle blimp flies over the town hall, use a rage spell, and with yetis within that CC, it can easily go down. So you really won't have to worry too much. From here though, your dragons should be able to clear other remaining defenses even if they start to spread out, but this will give you time to use your bat spells. Once the town hall is down and a good chunk of the splash damage defenses are down, drop in your bat spells. Typically, if there are 2 very close together splash damage defenses, such as a wizard tower and an inferno, you can drop in your bats and your free spells, and you can easily overwhelm those defenses there. Since, for the most part, a majority of the other splash damage defenses should be distracted by your dragons. So you can bring in the use of a freeze spell to freeze up to support the dragons on the back end, especially if there are not too many left and there's an air defense. So otherwise, once you get those splash damage defenses out of the way or they're being tanked for, the bats just have a very easy time overwhelming the rest of the base. Plus, you get cleanup troops, which can always be a massive plus. Just keep in mind with bats that the one major weakness they have is red air bombs. If there is an air troop that lures it out, it's unfortunately going to be a bad thing. You also have to worry about the tornado traps, as they can cause another big issue if they get caught within it. So just be very careful when you're using the bats. It can be a coin toss. For the number 2 attack, we have the Queen Charge Hybrid, a strategy that doesn't really require the need of super troops, but you need to find alternatives. So mainly, you need to look at the base and see, are there defenses that you can snipe off to create a funnel with balloons? Could you use a yeti and wizard to create the other side of the funnel without having to need to use a baby dragon? You can still use those to help cut off the funnel for your queen, so that way she goes in the right direction. As she's working her way through, I'd recommend that if you're using a yeti, try to wait until it dies before you drop in your healers. Once she goes in the right direction, you can use 3 of your wall breakers, since she'll be tanking for those said wall breakers. And of course, if you're going into a lot of heavy fire, I'd recommend using a rage spell. She really can't handle a lot of damage, especially something like 2 expos and a hero, so it can do a lot of work. Mainly going in though for the CC, and if it's close to the town hall, that's even better. That's what you want to look for. Of course, in this case, using a freeze and poison to deal with the enemy CC can be a really nice bonus, as dealing with the enemy CC is always incredibly important. You've also got the Yeti blimp to go in for the Eagle artillery or any other structure. You can actually use this to set pathing for your hybrid, which can actually be a massive plus to the rest of your attack, as controlling pathing can be really nice. Now, if your queen doesn't continue to charge into the base and instead wanders outside, that's perfectly fine, because you can actually use that to your advantage. Now, typically, you will want to set the other side of the funnel. This is mainly using the Barbarian King to cut off that funnel for your hybrid, since realistically you can pair him with other troops such as the Apprentice Warden for survivability. It gives him a lot of added value, as he can clear, basically guaranteed to clear all those defenses and buildings on the outside. If you happen to have something like me and where your queen wanders onto the outside and joins your barbarian king, that could work too, though it's not necessarily recommended that this happens. Let your queen consistently charge into the base, but if not, then you could take advantage of it. Now, once you have a funnel set on both sides thanks to your heroes, you can then send in the hybrid, sending in the miners, the Grand Warden, the Hog Riders, and the Royal Champion into something like a Scatter or an Inferno can be a really good place to start. Using an early heal spell to heal up any damage for both the Hogs and the Miners, alongside using the Grand Warden ability if you have Headhunters. Sending in those Headhunters to deal with the King can really help you from stalling from that Barbarian King. Of course, I'd recommend using a free spell over splash damage defenses like the multi-target Inferno, or even single target Inferno if it's locked onto a hero. Otherwise, I would also recommend using a back end heal in order to top off your Miners and Hog Riders if they're still up, as you will be able to take full-on advantage towards the back end. They're going to more so be able to clear through the rest of the base. If you have the healers switch onto your hybrid, that could be a really, really nice bonus, but don't expect it to happen, especially if the queen charge is further away from where your hybrid is currently going. So I don't recommend trying to get that happening, but for the most part, you'll easily dominate through most bases, and since this really doesn't need super troops, it can be an incredibly strong strategy. And arguably, the best strategy without super troops is actually the Zap Lalo, a very consistent option that has a lot of flexibility. You're mainly looking for either multi-target Infernos, scatter shots, or the enemy Archer Queen. In terms of this, I would recommend looking for the enemy Archer Queen in other defenses. So in this case, going in for a scatter shot with using 6 lightning spells that will take out the building, but not the queen. So I wouldn't recommend using just 6 lightning, but use 7 lightning spells to remove the enemy queen alongside those structures. However, if the Grand Warden is right by her, then more than likely she will survive 7 lightning spells. So try to be aware of this before you send in your lightning spells so you don't get confused on why the queen didn't fall to your lightnings. Now, from here, you're basically going to establish a funnel and send in your hero dive. This is going to be using your Barbarian King, Archer Queen, and Royal Champion to go in for a very particular area. Typically, I would recommend looking for an area of a lot of value. This could be the Eagle Artillery, multi-infernos, enemy heroes, etc. Just try to get as much of the base down with the log launcher, moving in with your king and queen alongside the Royal Champion. You can get some really nice funneling out of this. You can just let all of your other troops kind of do their own thing. You've got Yetis within that log launcher, and you can get a lot of value that way, using a poison and freeze to deal with the enemy CC, so you don't have to worry about it. Though if one decides to stay up, then that's completely fine. But you want to get as much value as possible from your entire Sui hero push, as it can clear almost half of the base, giving you ample time with the lava balloon. Now, when it comes to lava balloon, I'd recommend sending in a couple groups of balloons behind a lava hound and using a haste spell to get those balloons to key buildings like scatter shots. Of course, if you're going into the town hall with the lava balloon, you need to be really smart, using some of those balloons to clear out defenses alongside using free spells to stall out the town hall. And then, of course, using haste spells and the Grand Warden ability to get through the town hall is incredibly important. Any leftover free spells that you might have are perfect in terms of helping them deal with other defenses like the Teslas, Wizard Towers, etc. on the back end. Even if your balloons do die out from the town hall, that's completely fine. You might still have some balloons left over, but I'd recommend subbing out any leftover balloons that you might have to minions, because cleanup is incredibly important. Having minions is going to be a nice plus. If you can get a large amount of the base down with your heroes, then in some cases, it's not the end of the world. You'll more than likely still have enough time with any other leftover troops. But if you're just relying on your heroes to finish off and you have no other cleanup troops, bringing minions is the best thing for you to do. So this is one of, if not the best strategies to use without super troops, as it is just incredibly strong.